Now it's time to show off all of your hard work. And you will do this on the portfolio pages of your website. This is where you are going to show off your images, your best images, and this is where you're going to shine as a photographer. Remember, I have said, show me, don't tell me. Well, this is where you are going to show your clients, your potential clients, and your admirers all of your hard work. Now, it's safe to have 3 to 4 portfolio pages on your website. You really don't want more than that because you don't want to overwhelm your audience. When you overwhelm them, they tend to leave rather than give you a chance and keep on looking. For each page, include plus or minus 20 of your best photographs. You can see this is from an old website. This is from the old markpalta.com, and probably a bad example of what you should be doing because I did this rotating slideshow. I much prefer to see individual images in their own little box all at one time, but that's just a preference of mine. And so don't follow my example that I'm showing you here. So anyway, this would be a page where these are people that I met or I encountered along the way during travel. And I have a small or a short tagline, amazing people who have touched me. And then there is a description. Now, will the description be of interest to a client or a potential client? It might be. This is sort of like the backstory that we have talked about for an individual photograph. What it does do is it gives Google information about what is on this page. For each of your portfolio pages, have only one genre. For example, let's say you're a travel photographer and you photograph national parks, beaches, restaurants, and hotels. What you do not want to do is include a page with 20 photographs that mix all of those together. You would want to have a national park page, then you would have one page for beaches, one page for restaurants, and one page for hotels. And this will keep everything neat and tidy, and it will make perfect sense to a viewer. It's as if they're reading a book, and one chapter is about national parks, and that makes sense. And then the next chapter is about beaches, and that will make sense. And one for restaurants and one for hotels. This just keeps everything in order and doesn't confuse your viewer. You don't want to do that. Here's another example of destinations, and these would have been just various places like Bhutan, Matera, Italy, Istanbul, etc. that I had, and they were iconic places of each of the destinations that I had visited. And again, you'll see it just simply says destinations, and there are a few words about the page, what is on the page. And that, again, really is for Google. And then another example, which is, I'm a huge night photographer. That's one of my weaknesses, I think. I much prefer being out at night, and I much prefer being out at night in London because oftentimes I have the city entirely to myself when I'm out there. But be that as it may, another example that this is just entirely about London. You're not going to find anything about Morocco or France or the United States. Simply London. And if someone is interested in London night photography, they would go to this page and stay there. As you place your photos onto your portfolio page, a really good trick is to pair your images so there's a good flow for the viewer. Now, you could pair by color. Maybe there were different sorts of light, whether it was a sunset, sunrise, high noon, or night photography, for instance. Or you could also group your photos by similar subject. So let's say that you have 3 photos that are primarily red. You could pair 3 red photos together. You have 3 or 4 photos of a mountain. You would group those 4 photographs of mountains together. And maybe you even have some just quirky off-the-wall shots, and you could pair those together as well. So let's have a look at this group of photographs right here. You have quite a contrast here of subjects. You have a camera looking onto a Buddha. You've got the man walking in front of good, a box full of photographs, the fun child with the red, white, and blue glasses with this great smile or expression, the abstract photo, our favorite editor again, more photos, a bicycle, and then a travel shot of people on a train. So when you look at this, you can see that it is just a mumbo jumbo collection of photographs, and it does not really make sense. Well, let's make some sense of it. And we then start pairing photographs similar in color, similar in feel, and similar in style. And this makes a lot more sense than looking at a lot of photos that are unrelated and make no sense at all. Again, you can see I've taken out everything that deals with photographs or a camera, and I have paired those together. It just flows better, and it is easier for a viewer of your website to follow that. If you don't tightly edit and make your images flow on a page, what happens is you confuse the viewer's eye, and they typically either will not focus on what you want them to focus on, or they'll just say, okay, this is just a mess and I'm leaving. You want them to stay on your page admiring your photos, or better yet, you want them to take action for as long as you can keep them there. And what is the action? Well, you want them to either contact you for a project. Maybe they want to purchase a photograph, or maybe they have a future project and they want to be in contact with you. So do keep that in mind. It's something that is often overlooked, pairing photographs that tell a similar story. And it can really benefit you if you take the time to do that. One last thing, as tempting as it may be, do not add watermarks or logos to your photographs. I know that is a very tempting thing to do, and you might be concerned that someone will steal and or lift your photo from your website. I will just say that visually, for a client or a potential client, this is not good. If you're worried that someone's going to steal your image, you can stop this usually in the settings of your website. If someone tries to copy an image off of your site, a message comes up and says, you're not allowed to do this. My rule of thumb is this, and it always has been, and it's not one that I particularly like, but I truly believe, and I think if I put a photo onto the internet, I should expect the image to be stolen. And there really is no way to stop this. My next rule of thumb is don't worry so much about this. There are companies, there's one called Image Rights. I believe it's www.imagerights.com. And they will keep track of all of your images and where they show up on the internet. Oftentimes, you can't do anything about it because where they find the photos are people and or places you have no jurisdiction, and you can't do anything anyway. So you just sort of have to deal with it. You can and you should resize your images for the web or the internet, which means you resize them in such a way that they look great on a computer screen, but if someone wants to go print them, they are not good at all. So keep that in mind, and truly, I just would not put too much worry into that. Remember that your portfolio pages and your photographs are your calling card. So when you go to place your images onto your portfolio pages, be sure that you have self-edited and have chosen your best photos for your viewers and your potential clients to see. Your website is your online calling card, and you want to make a really good impression.